Imagine stepping off a 12-hour flight and instead of dragging yourself through a crowded terminal, you're welcomed into a lush rainforest. Mist swirls around your feet. A waterfall, the tallest indoor one on Earth, roars before you. There are butterflies, hanging bridges, gardens, and even a mall filled with luxury boutiques and gourmet food. This isn't a fantasy, it's Jewel Changi Airport in Singapore. And it cost the country over $2 billion to build. But why? Why would a city-state spend such a staggering sum on what is essentially an airport extension? Was it just for tourism? Prestige? Or is there something more strategic at play? To understand the answer, we have to step back, not just years, but decades, to understand the vision Singapore has always had, to be a hub, a connector, and a destination in itself. Let's begin with geography. Singapore is a small island nation with no natural resources. It relies heavily on trade, tourism, and logistics. Its location at the crossroads of major international air and sea routes has always been one of its greatest assets. But geography alone isn't enough. In a competitive global economy, Singapore needed to be more than a pit stop. It needed to become the place everyone wants to stop in. This was the foundational thinking behind the expansion of Changi Airport, and the centerpiece of that expansion was the Jewel. But Jewel Changi is not just an airport terminal. It's not even a terminal, in fact. It's a multi-use development that blends nature, entertainment, shopping, and transportation into one futuristic structure that redefines what airports can be. The Jewel was a bold statement. Singapore wasn't content with just being efficient. It wanted to be unforgettable. The roots of Jewel Changi stretch back to the early 2000s. Changi Airport had long been ranked among the world's best, thanks to its cleanliness, efficiency, and user experience. But the Singaporean government knew that competition was heating up. Airports in the Middle East, like Doha and Dubai, were rapidly expanding. Incheon in Seoul and Hong Kong's Chek Lap Kok were investing heavily too. Changi could no longer compete on efficiency alone. Singapore needed a showpiece. In 2013, Changi Airport Group and CapitaLand Mall Asia came together with a vision to build something that would not only support air traffic but also draw in people who weren't even flying. The result would be a hybrid space, part public park, part shopping mall, part transit facility, and part architectural marvel. Something that could be enjoyed by locals, tourists, and transiting passengers alike. They commissioned world-renowned architect Moshe Safdie, best known for designing iconic structures like Marina Bay Sands. Safdie envisioned a toroidal glass and steel dome, a vast circular space with a central opening for a waterfall to cascade from the roof into a forest-like garden below. This was no ordinary terminal expansion. It was a statement of national identity and ambition. The development would cover over 135,000 square meters. It would include a 5-story garden, 280 retail and dining outlets, a hotel, entertainment zones, and the crown jewel, the HSBC Rain Vortex, a 40-meter-tall indoor waterfall. The total cost? 1.7 billion Singapore dollars, about 1.25 billion US dollars initially. But as plans evolved and the scale of ambition grew, the final figure would rise to nearly $2 billion. Constructing a massive dome at the heart of one of the world's busiest airports was no small feat. Jewel had to be built on the site of the former Terminal 1 open-air car park. But this wasn't just about reclaiming land, it involved completely rethinking how the airport served its passengers. One of the first challenges was logistics. Changi Airport couldn't simply shut down or redirect traffic. Construction had to proceed without disrupting the operations of 3 working terminals. The site was heavily constrained. It sat between Terminals 1, 2, and 3 with taxiways and underground tunnels running underneath. The design had to respect all these constraints while creating a visually and structurally seamless experience. The dome itself was constructed from over 9,000 panels of specially engineered glass, supported by a diagrid structure like a web of intersecting steel beams that provide both strength and transparency. The idea was to flood the interior with natural light, creating a sense of openness and connection with the outside. But natural light in a tropical country like Singapore also means heat. Jewel's engineers had to incorporate an advanced shading and climate control system to keep the temperature comfortable without relying excessively on air conditioning. Sustainability was key from day one, and then came the challenge of the waterfall. The centerpiece of Jewel Changi is its stunning HSBC Rain Vortex. Standing at 40 meters tall, it is the tallest indoor waterfall in the world. But it's not just for show. The waterfall plays a crucial role in the building's environmental strategy. Rainwater is collected on the roof and channeled down through the vortex, where it's aerated and reused for irrigation and other non-potable uses. The flow rate can be adjusted depending on weather conditions, and at night, the waterfall transforms into a canvas for a light and sound show. To create this feature, engineers had to model the aerodynamics of the falling water, accounting for wind patterns, temperature, and humidity, all within a sealed environment. The sound had to be controlled too. A 40-meter drop of water is loud. Acoustic dampening materials were built into the waterfall's base and surrounding structures to make the experience serene rather than overwhelming. Surrounding the waterfall is the Shiseido Forest Valley, a 4-story terrace garden filled with over 2,000 trees and 100,000 shrubs from around the world. This isn't just a decorative garden. It's a carefully engineered ecosystem. Singapore's equatorial climate allows for a diverse range of tropical and subtropical plants. But maintaining them inside a sealed building required precise climate engineering. The air is cooled and dehumidified to create a microclimate that feels like an early morning in a highland forest. The temperature stays between 23 and 25 degrees Celsius, and humidity is carefully regulated. Special lighting systems mimic natural daylight cycles, encouraging plant growth and giving the impression of being outdoors even at night. The gardens are irrigated with a smart water system that uses the very rain collected by the dome. Visitors can walk along trails, escalators, and elevated bridges that weave through the foliage. It's not just a place to sit and rest. It's a destination in its own right. Historically, airports were places people simply passed through. Functionality and security were the main priorities. Shops and restaurants were mostly practical, duty-free alcohol, souvenirs, a place to get a coffee before your gate closed. But as global travel expanded, airports began to evolve, and nowhere has this evolution been more visible than in Asia. Singapore's Changi Airport has long been a leader in treating passengers not as burdens to be moved along, but as guests. Even before the Jewel opened, Changi was offering butterfly gardens, movie theaters, nap pods, and rooftop pools. But Jewel represented the next leap. It wasn't just about making the airport experience better. It was about turning the airport into a destination in itself. This shift is part of what economists call the experience economy. As people spend more on experiences than physical goods, travel hubs have begun to compete on how memorable they can make those experiences. Singapore understood this trend early, and the Jewel was designed to capitalize on it. Jewel Changi isn't only for travelers. In fact, more than 60% of its daily visitors are local residents. Families visit for the gardens and weekend outings. Students come to study in cafes overlooking the waterfall. Couples dine under a glass dome surrounded by trees. In other words, it serves the community just as much as it serves global travelers. A major pillar of the Jewel's financial model is retail. With over 280 outlets spread across 10 levels, it's one of the most diverse retail centers in Southeast Asia. But this wasn't about building just another shopping mall. The design and layout of Jewel's retail zone were meticulously curated to reflect both international appeal and local flavor. Brands like Apple, Nike, Uniqlo, and Zara occupy prime spaces alongside boutique shops selling Singaporean-designed fashion, home decor, and artisanal foods. The shopping experience was crafted to offer something unique, whether you're a tourist looking for souvenirs or a local returning for your favorite gourmet dessert. One of Jewel's standout innovations is the seamless integration of airside and landside access. For international travelers, this means they can check their bags early and enjoy the retail and dining options freely before proceeding through security. For locals, it means they can enter and enjoy Jewel even without a boarding pass. Restaurants range from Michelin-starred names to casual food courts. There are even dedicated zones for local cuisine, highlighting Singapore's multicultural food heritage: Chinese, Malay, Indian, and Eurasian flavors all in one place. This retail ecosystem wasn't just about generating revenue. It was a strategic decision to attract foot traffic and ensure the Jewel wasn't limited to travelers alone. This helped balance footfall and guaranteed a steady stream of visitors regardless of airline schedules. In the age of long layovers and delayed flights, the need for short-term, high-quality accommodation within airports has grown significantly. Singapore's answer? Yotlair. This futuristic hotel chain operates within Jewel Changi, offering rooms by the hour ideal for travelers needing to sleep, shower, or simply escape the terminal noise. The rooms are compact but efficient, modeled on luxury airline suites. Automated check-in kiosks, smart lighting, and noise-insulated walls make the experience feel more like a space station than a hotel. And for passengers in transit who prefer not to book a full room, there's the Changi Lounge, a calm, private space with shower facilities, buffet meals, and workstations accessible to any traveler for a small fee. This supports the airport's vision of hospitality that adapts to all budgets and types of travelers. The entire hospitality offering inside Jewel Changi was designed to reflect flexibility. Whether you're a business traveler catching a red-eye or a backpacker waiting 10 hours between flights, there's a place for you to recharge. Most airports install a few duty-free shops and perhaps a children's play area. Jewel went much further. On its top floor, known as Canopy Park, lies a series of interactive attractions designed to entertain people of all ages. There's the Skynet's massive bouncy net walkways suspended several stories above the ground. There's the Mirror Maze, a kaleidoscope of colored glass that reflects the lush gardens in infinite patterns. There are foggy bowls, discovery slides, and topiary walks. These features aren't add-ons, they're core to the design philosophy. Jewel doesn't want people to tolerate being there. It wants people to desire it, to share it on social media, and to remember it long after their flight has landed. And that strategy has worked. Since its opening, Jewel has become one of the most Instagrammed locations in Asia. Travel influencers, celebrities, and families alike post images of the waterfall, the gardens, the bridges. And all of it feeds back into Singapore's national brand. A structure this size, filled with thousands of plants, gallons of water, and millions of visitors each year, poses significant environmental challenges. But Jewel was built with sustainability as a foundational principle, not a decorative afterthought. The dome collects rainwater across its entire roof area. This water is then filtered and used in the rain vortex, the Forest Valley's irrigation system, and even in the facility's restrooms. This closed-loop water management system reduces dependency on Singapore's municipal water supply. The glass panels on the dome are double-glazed and specially coated to reduce solar gain. This allows natural light in without overheating the space. That means lower air conditioning requirements, reduced electricity use, and more comfort for visitors. LED lighting, motion sensors, and intelligent building management systems ensure that energy is only used where and when needed. The indoor gardens are managed with a mix of human horticulturalists and AI-driven monitoring systems that regulate soil moisture, temperature, and plant health. These green features are part of why Jewel was awarded Singapore's Green Mark Platinum Award, a certification of environmental responsibility that's hard to earn. When a nation spends $2 billion on what some call a fancy mall with a waterfall, there will always be questions. Was it worth it? From an economic standpoint, Jewel has been a significant success. Within its first year of opening, it attracted over 50 million visitors. That's more than the entire population of South Korea or Spain in a single year. Retail tenants saw higher than expected sales volumes. Hotels posted strong occupancy rates. Airport user satisfaction scores rose, and Changi retained its title as the world's best airport multiple times following the Jewel's debut. Beyond direct financial returns, the Jewel has also served as a soft power asset. It reinforces Singapore's image as a modern, innovative, forward-looking society. It's not just about function, it's about vision, about what a small country can achieve with bold ideas and excellent execution.